Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Vjal podcast. I'm Mark Troy, your host. This week, we have a special opportunity. We're joined by one of the top coaches and trainers from Vjal Institute, Jay Lambert. I think Jay's in Florida today. Jay, where are you? Tell me what's going on.
Yep, I'm in South Florida. I'm kind of located halfway between Miami and West Palm Beach for anybody who's familiar with that.
Great. And you've been working with Vjal for a couple of years. You've trained dozens of companies and people in person and online. Anything stick out that you want to share with us?
I probably just want to give you a little background. I do work for a company called Synergistics. I'm the chief operating officer. My entire career has really been about bridging the gap between technology and business. That's the background. I came across Adi's AI empowerment class through YPO, through the opportunity very early on. I was using AI myself. I was an early adopter. What Adi showed me that day was that I had no clue what I was doing. It completely changed my approach. I was very fortunate that Adi, in his quest to train a million plus people on AI, came to South Florida and did his second train the trainer class after Dubai, and I was able to take part of that. Initially, my goal really was about taking that back to the company I work for, Synergistics, and training everybody. That naturally led to, through some of the things we do in the industry, the pharmaceutical industry that we work with, that I started training a lot of companies within the industry, which eventually led, thanks to Vjal, for the opportunity to expand out. And I now do coaching for companies, all industries and across the globe.
Well, and one of the reasons we like to bring on people like you, Jay, is okay, it's great that you get the AI tech side, which is important for what we're doing, but you've got business experience. And that's where I think this intersection is the most important is we're not just teaching people how to use tools, you're teaching them how to apply it in their workflows and make it be relevant and useful for them. And I know that you've coached dozens of organizations. What's the most common mistake that you've seen when somebody sits down and uses their AI?
The biggest mistake is everyone approaches it as if it's a vending machine. They think they just plug in the prompt as if they're plugging in a token into a vending machine, and they just expect everything to come out perfectly. And what do they get? They get mediocre output. They blame AI. News media, we've seen that for years. Oh, I put this prompt in, and can you believe it did this? And the answer is yes, because that's what you did.
Mhm.
You didn't approach it the right way.
But it's supposed to be easy, right? I mean, if it's not easy, what should they be doing instead?
Yeah, it is easy, but it's easy if you change your mindset. You really want to think AI as the brilliant new hire. So you're running a company, you bring in a brand new hire, their credentials are absolutely incredible, but they know nothing about you, your company, the context of the situation. So if you're giving that new employee a task, you're giving them a lot of information with it. And that is the first step, to make sure you give them a good package of information around what the situation is and how to do that task. But most importantly, with the new hire, you're most likely going to say, repeat back to me what you're doing. Ask me any questions to fill in any gaps before you run off and do the task. And that's the pause you need to do with AI. AI is going to run off and do whatever you ask it to do. And if there's information that's missing or context, it's going to fill it in.
Yeah.
And by pausing and having it ask those questions, it fills in all the gaps with your specific information and context. And really, that's what becomes critical, because now it's running off to do a job with the right information.
Mhm. So you're sort of adding a step here, making it be a little more complicated, but you're saying the results are better. Are there ways for us to maybe do that process more quickly? I know that I've seen some of our trainers use like a literally the voice modules to interview them and have a process where they input things faster that way.
Yeah, I use voice mode quite a bit for that interview segment. I'll swap in and out of it. I'll put a prompt in and then say, "I'd like you to interview me. Let me know when you're ready, because I want to switch into voice mode." And then it'll come back and say, "I'm ready." I'll switch into voice mode and go into interview mode. Another good trick is, and it depends on which tool you use, is to have a skill that does that. So I use a skill, I call it my thinking partner. When I ask AI to do something, it'll automatically load in that skill. And within that skill, it has a lot of context about me, but it also knows that it needs to interview me and ask me questions on that. And that skill is about probing me, questioning me to make sure it has everything it needs to move forward.
Okay, I get it. That's cool. And so, okay, so I've done this. I've interviewed myself. I've sent my question off, my prompt off. AI has given me something back, and I'm done, right? Because I have a good prompt, and so therefore I should be done.
Yeah, you're closer is the way I'm going to put it. You own the output. AI is not being the one being graded. AI is not the one who's going to be reprimanded. And we've seen, reprimand can be, you send an email to a client and you get in trouble for doing it, to what we've seen with lawyers who are submitting things to the courts that are cases that don't exist. There's all types of repercussions for not checking what you are getting out of it. So ultimately, your job is to go in and verify the results and own that output on it.
Yeah, if I send off the email, doesn't matter if my AI wrote it. I'm the one that sent the
Yeah.
email. I'm the one taking responsibility. Okay, and so once I'm done, I think you said there's one other move or thing that you like to do right before you finish up. What is that?
Yeah, I call this the light bulb moment for a lot of the coaching that I do, and it's something that people aren't used to doing. And one of the most valuable things you can do is after you have that back and forth with AI, hopefully, if you do the interview, it's shorter, but you still probably have some editing or some tweaking to do. Take the final result of what you did, go back to that original prompt and say, here's the final result I was looking for. How could I have prompted you at the start to get here?
Mm.
What you're going to get out of that, I think, is really two things. One, you now have an updated revision of that original prompt that you can reuse, that you can tweak. If you're doing this in a project or a custom GPT, the question is similar. You just say, how should I change your instructions? And it's going to advise you how to tweak it. And then over time, you get to be able to refine that. The second thing that I think is as important, and it goes back to the interview portion as well, it starts helping you understand what AI needs in terms of operating better. So it's teaching you how to write a better prompt through the actions that you're doing. And what you're going to find is the more you do this, it's so much faster for you to get really high quality results right from the beginning. You can give it much more of the information you need. There's a whole nother segment that we can get into sometime around design think and what we teach about pausing and thinking through the problem before we get there. But coming back to this, that final result of putting it back in just gets you incredible results to reuse later, as well as a teaching moment.
I like that. Yeah. And particularly if you end up with an output that you think is finally something you really worked up to something good, now you can say, hey, help me summarize this. How could I do this again? What would have gotten me here?
Yeah.
Give me the prompt I would have used to create this. That's a great tip. Thanks, Jay. Great. Well, look, everybody, the Vjal Institute, we offer all kinds of solutions, free training for colleges and high schools. We work with a lot of corporations where we do in-person trainings with people like Jay. And of course, our world famous coaching program is available at vjal.ai. Please reach out. And if you need some support, Jay's in Florida, I'm in Dubai, and we're all over the world. Give us a ring. Thanks for joining us, Jay.
All right. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Mark. Much appreciated.